Welcome guys to this episode of Attack the Track. Today we're going to attack the Spa-Francorchamps Circuit, which has recently been released by Studio 397 for rFactor2. This 20-turn track in the middle of Belgium features 11 left-hand turns and 9 right-hand turns. It got up to 3 heavy braking zones, and it features high-speed track passages as much as high-speed turns as well. Therefore, this track is very special for car setup, because if you look at it, there is a possibility for two very different setup philosophies. Either you choose low downforce and high speed setup, which will be beneficial in sector 1 and 3 and even more beneficial for overtaking, but you could also choose a high downforce and a kind of low speed setup, which will be highly beneficial in sector 2. Anyway, this track requires a nice flowing rhythm when doing driving in order to be quick. And now we're gonna have a look in a Formula 1 car how one lap around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit looks like. Just like on any other circuit, you need to maximize the way to the lap, so you go wide into turn 20 in order to get the best possible exit, going across the line and on a flying lap here around Spa. Turn 1 heavy braking zone, late apex, and then after the apex attack the throttle as hard as possible, because you need to carry all the exit performance down the straight going towards Eau Rouge. Turn 3, 4, 5, everything flat out in a high downforce car. It may look different on other cars. Anyway, coming towards turn 7, the com, that's going to be the best overtaking spot, hard braking zone, and it's a single weight combination, so you need to stay tight in 7, tight in 8, and then focus on the apex here, turn 9, to carry the maximum speed with a short sprint up to Rivage. Turn 10, going down the inside, stay tight on the curb, don't go too wide on the exit, because next up straight is No Name corner. Turn 11, want to carry all the speed onto the exit, onto the downhill towards Pouhon, a high speed corner, maximize the track, maximize the speed, you carry through the corner. That's all what it is about here in Pouhon. Up to 13 and 14, stay tight on the inside of 13 to optimize your way into 14. Attack the exit hard for turn 15. Again, the exit is super important here. As you go into sector 3, you want to carry all the speed up towards Blanchimont, the back straight. This is where you can position yourself, maybe making an attack into turn 19. Everything flat out here. Blanchimont, no issue whatsoever. Everything flat out and coming towards bus stop. Heavy braking zone number 3. Make sure you stay tight here in turn 19 on the inside, and then have a good entry into 20. Once again, focus on the exit, and that is one lap around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit. And now we're going to look at each corner. That is a key area here around the Spa circuit. And of course, we're starting with turn 1 here at Spa-Francorchamps. As already explained a little bit, you need to have a late apex for exit speed, because exit speed is going to be vital up the hill in the first sector, because this is the point where you set up the car for either attacking or defending an opponent on the track. And we're going to have a look at this in a more slow-mo view right now, because when coming towards this turn 1 apex, there is a little special thing about the apex curb, because the corner is a little bit banking towards the inside, but on the curb there is an area where there is an opposite banking, which would throw you off the track, and we're going to have a more closer look into that. It is the blue area. You will see that this is a different kind of banking, and I've over exaggerated this here a little bit in a drawing. The left hand side of the red area is the track, and the right hand side is the banking. So where the green arrow was, that is where you want to have the inside wheel, and that is the perfect line around turn 1. You see the car gets dragged around the corner just a little bit, and that is assisting the rotation. And then you can go early on the power down towards Eau Rouge out of the first turn. And we're gonna look at this late apex technique a little bit more closely, and we're looking at this from a GT3 side of view. So you see I'm kinda going a little bit wide into the apex of turn 1. We're going to carry the red line because the red line is the fast line. If you would just look at the corner, the yellow line would be right, but we're looking at the exit speed, so we need to take the red line. As you can see, we're late on the apex, so despite we have passed the apex already, our car is pointing more towards the exit of the corner, which allows us to apply the throttle a lot more early. And right there where the green arrow is, compared when you take the corner irregularly line, you may even have to lift where the yellow arrow is, or you can just, where the yellow arrow was, smash down the throttle. And then you see also on the exit there is a shorter way on the inside with a red line following. So that is the perfect line going through turn 1. Carrying all the speed down towards turn 2, 3, 4, 5, which is Eau Rouge and Radillon. It is easy for high downforce cars, which is why we don't look at the footage right here from the Formula 1 car again. But in general, the driving line is very important through Eau Rouge to nail it, to hit the hidden apex at Radillon on the top of the hill. But be careful, because in slipstream this turn is extremely dangerous. It's easy to lose the rear, and especially when you come out of the compression going up the hill, the elevation changes come into play, because then the rear end gets loose and you may lose a lot of rear end stability regardless of whether you're running into slipstream or dirty air or whether you run in clean air. Anyway, that exit of Radillon is very important, because next up you find turn 7, 8 and 9 after the Camel Straight. So obviously Camel Straight is all slipstreaming, and then hard braking zone into turn 7, 8, 9, which is a good overtaking spot. The car has a high demand of weight transfer when going through 7 and 8. You need to be precise. The car needs to do exactly what you do on the steering wheel. And to me, this is a single weight combination, because you have to stay tight in 7, you have to nail the entry and also stay tight in 8, not go too wide, because it's turn 9 you really want to focus on. And that's why you need to be patient in turn 7 and 8. With not trying to accelerate too early and too hard. And we're gonna have a look into this turn 7, 8, 9 right here as well. Approaching into turn 7, you may want to use the entry curb and maximize your way into turn 7. Really nail that inside curb on turn 7 and stay tight there, because you want to have the best possible entry into turn 8. Make sure to slightly cut the inside, because as you can see, the curb has a little bit of a profile. You can hang in the inside wheel on the inside part of the curb and get the car turned around nicely. Make sure to not go over the kind of middle on the exit when coming out of 8, because you need to straight set a direction change again and nail this apex for turn 9 as much as the car allows. It is a quite steep curve, so some cars may not be able to run the apex curve and some cars may do it. So if you can do it, nail that apex curve to maximize the track size available, and then run all over the curb here at the exit of turn 9. Next up, we find turn 10, which is Rivage, and it's going to be a downhill braking zone. You need to stay tight on the apex and stay late on the apex, or tight on the curb, and you shall not go wide on the exit. I have highlighted the apex here with a green arrow, and as I said, don't go too wide on the exit, because first, the exit is off camber, so the car tends to understeer, and secondary, the exit of turn 10 defines your setup and your entry into turn 11, which we're going to have a closer look again from the onboard in the F1 car. So we're coming down here at Rivage, and I told you, you need to stay tight, and especially here where the AstroTurf is on the right hand side, that is where the apex is. Here you should hook up the throttle once again, and also now you go into the off-camber area, so the car tends to understeer once you come downhill out of turn 10. As I said, don't go too wide on the exit here at turn 10. I'm already too wide a little bit here, and then you want to set up for turn 11, but from my point of view, do not touch the curb here on the right hand side, because as you can see, the curb is very, very steep, and it might just unsettle the car going into turn 11. Turn 11, no name corner, just basically nail the apex and try to take as much speed as possible out of the turn and onto the short sprint towards Pouhon, which will be turn 12 and the corner we look at next. Pouhon definitely is, beside Eau Rouge, the most exciting corner here on the Spa circuit. So it's a high-speed corner. The driving line is very car dependent. So in the high downforce car, you basically just throw it up the inside of the apex, turn 12, and just carry all the speed out of the corner as fast as possible, as much speed carried as possible through turn 12. This may look different in GT3 or lower downforce cars. And then you have a short sprint up towards turn 13, 14. Once again, you need to favor the exit of 14. Therefore, you have a very late apex and need to stay pretty tight in turn 13, coming towards turn 14. And in this particular chicane, you should use as much curb as possible because it enables you to maximize the track width and therefore run higher cornering speeds. After turn 14, you're coming up to turn 15, and this is another key location because the exit speed out of turn 15 is vital. Once again, you need to make sure to use the maximum of the curbs on the exit, and you have a short sprint up to turn 16, but you rather lift prior to turn 16 in a car that cannot take turn 16 flat out, instead of lifting at the end or even run wide. So you really want to maximize your entry into turn 16 to run through that as fast as possible after having a blistering exit out of 15, and then you want to carry all the speed and momentum, and then you may be able to set up for an attack coming into bus stop chicane turn 19. But before that, after passing turn 17, you need to pass turn 18, which is Blanchimont. And Blanchimont is just another extraordinary corner because in most of the cars it's going to be simply flat out. However, the driving line is very car dependent. It's also dangerous in slipstream and while sitting in dirty air. And it is vital for either attacking or defending into turn 19. However, on the exit of Blanchimont and also on the entry, you should take care of the track limits, which we're going to have a look for right now. On the entry, on the right hand side, the green AstroTurf, there are the very tight track limits and you should not go too much over there. However, there is a different reason why you should not go there. As you can see a little bit on the right hand side, there is another banking. So some cars may grind a little bit and lose just a kph of straight line speed while grinding on the white line. So don't touch the red area. And some cars, GT3 cars, may require the full AstroTurf on the right hand side in order to get a clean entry into turn 18, which is Blanchimont. But once again, make sure you don't get a track cut for going too wide off the track, trying to open and maximize your entry into turn 18. Short afterwards, you then come to the bus stop chicane turn 19-20, which is the second good overtaking spot, as it is a heavy braking zone. There is an uphill compression into the entry of turn 19 and an off-camber exit into turn 19, which means you need to stay very tight here on the turn 19 because the yellow area, the yellow arrows that are there, that is where the off-camber exit out of turn 19 is, and that may cause some understeer. So once again, if you go into turn 19, you really want to stay tight on that curb because there is a compression zone where it's going up the hill, additional downforce, the car will grip more, and you will get a good momentum up in turn 19. So going up the hill, you don't want to overshoot it because if you come towards that red area, you are in the off-camber zone. You first suffer a little bit of understeer and sudden snap oversteer, and that is really bad for both lap time, tires, and your stability. And after turn 19, you need to straighten up the wheel real quick and immediately turn to the left to nail the apex here in turn 20. Really want to be close to the anti-cut, but not touching it. just really close towards it as we're here right there. And then you see the car gets turned around quite quickly. Also, early on the power, maximize your exit, short into the arrest zone here with the car. And that is actually one lap in an F1 car around the Spa circuit. And I'm pretty sure we can take a lot of things from there and now have a look into the GT3 car. So going around the track with a Corvette and see what the difference is. So going across the start-finish line to start our flying lap around the Spa circuit. Going into turn 1, once again maximizing the exit speed, even despite the car is a bit twitchy on the exit, but we're gonna have a look into it a little bit slow-mo. You see him slightly overshooting the apex, slowing down even further, but now hitting the throttle, hitting the apex, and therefore have a better run out of turn 1, have a better and enhanced exit onto the way down towards Eau Rouge. And surprisingly, I can already tell that Eau Rouge is flat out. All you need to do is like throw it up the inside, hit that apex curb, and then just let the car run over Radillon. It is much more tricky than in the F1 car, but basically it is possible in clean air to hit Eau Rouge flat out. Anyway, we're now looking into turn 7. We take so much more curb, even more curb here on the inside, and for turn 9 we mount the heavy curb pretty badly. Despite the car is a bit twitchy, and you see we're taking a lot more of the inside curb here inside turn 8, actually cutting the corner quite a bit. But not only turn 8, we also maximize the curb in turn 9. In turn 10 already Rivage, as you see, very close to the inside curb. And again, turn 11, we take a lot more of the high mounted curb into No Name corner. So unlike the FSR car, not only touching but really mounting that inside curb, even going over the AstroTurf, trying to maximize the exit speed out of No Name corner, that is. Now coming towards Pouhon, throwing the car in, kissing the apex curb, kissing the exit curb, and just trying to carry as much speed as we possibly can. Maybe even a bit too quick on the entry, but you've seen it. Despite we come into an oversteer moment right here, as soon as we touch the curb right now, the car gets a little bit out of that spin, out of that slide, and just giving us a perfect exit through Pouhon here. Looking into 13 and 14, stay tight on the inside curb on 13 to maximize the entry into 14. Better don't run that curb because you've seen what happens to the car. And other than that, you just, like in the FSR car, mount curbs, hit curbs, maximize the track width. You've seen a slight hesitation of throttle there into 16. And this is what I spoke about beforehand in Blanchimont. The GT3 just needs that little bit of extra road in order to take Blanchimont flat out. But that is really what it is about on that entry side, on the entry Astro. Again, a little bit too wide here in 19 and 20, almost getting caught off by the off-camber. But that is one lap in the GT3, so you see a little bit of difference compared to the FSR car. But now we're coming back to the topic from the beginning. This track features two very different setup philosophies, and we've tested them both. So the low downforce high speed setup and the high downforce low top speed setup. Here you see the Motec file of those two setups compared. So looking into sector 1, as you can see, the high downforce setup being 6/10 off the pace on Camel Straight yet alone. Well, basically from turn 1 to Camel Straight, it's even 8/10 because you gain something in turn 1 but losing it over the entire straight. However, remember and bear in mind, this is super slow on the straights, and therefore you're easily going to be overtaken if people are sitting in a draft. I mean, as you can see, 17 kph of speed difference in an F1 car. That is quite huge. Anyway, at the same time, we're looking at Pouhon. This is sector 2, and as you can see right there, we've not only overcome the 6/10 disadvantage from sector 1. We've even turned that into half a second of advantage compared to the other setup. And even in Pouhon, we are taking Pouhon 23 kph faster in cornering speeds. So that is quite intense. In general, this sector 2 is over a second, maybe a second and a half quicker than the low downforce setup. In the end, of course, we're going to lose a little bit more time in sector 3, but on one lap, the high downforce setup is faster. However, of course, you always need to reconsider what do you want to have in race, what do you need, and what is your position on the grid, maybe if there is no park for me and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things you need to bear in mind when using or checking either setup philosophy. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today. That's going to do it for the Attack the Track of Spa-Francorchamps. If you have appreciated the video, I would love and appreciate if you guys put up the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make this community grow. If you have any questions whatsoever, any feedback you want to give, just put it down in the comment area below and I'll check it out. Thank you so much for watching and see you there for the next time.